Hi, my name is ScienceBeard, and today I'm looking at the response to my response to Brett Keane's video. And I've been called out by Brett Keane, and I will agree with him on some things you may be amazed. But first, an apology. I deeply apologize for the usage of the wrong there. I feel so ashamed. So, let's have a look at what he's got to say.
Mr. Skydive Man, or whatever the fuck he calls himself, and also a guy who has self-entitled himself on YouTube as a ScienceBeard. ScienceBeard has about 4 subscribers. It's probably most likely him, another profile that he's created on YouTube, and his mom and dad.
Sadly, my parents aren't alive, and I've not been conceited enough to subscribe to myself.
That's pretty much all the people that are watching him. Hopefully after I make this video and respond to him, he might get maybe a few more people watching him and listening to him.
That's really sweet, thank you. I will say that I'm making videos for myself. If somebody else watches them, great. It is more about going on the record about stuff, and I'm working on the things that really affect me. They are to come.
So, well, before I take off my glasses and proceed to do this, let's read the description. I find this extremely funny. I watched Skyman Dan deal with his video, and he did a really good job at addressing the questions. However, even he failed to mention that Brett Keane does not understand what atheism is, and most importantly, what it's not. I mean to keep this really short. Yeah, right. And, of course, the video is almost 30 minutes long.
Guilty, it was an unscripted ramble, although I'm not sure whether from me or you, Brett.
So, do I know what atheism is? According to the definition, it's lack of belief in deities.
Yes, so you do know. Why then do you go on to say that it is a worldview? I take it that by worldview you mean a set of common ideas and ideals through which you see the world?
Now everybody knows that there is a certain behavior and tone and pattern of atheists out there. They don't like to say that they have a worldview, and they don't like the idea that the court systems actually claim that the atheism is what is referred to as a non-theistic religion.
Atheism is not a religion. It is just a lack of belief in God or gods. You just said this.
That's right. It is organized.
Not all atheists belong to an organization of atheists. Not all organizations that have worldviews, as you would probably say, are churches. I'm not organized in an atheist club, quite the opposite.
There are even atheist organizations out there called Organized Atheism, Atheism of America, Atheism this, Atheism that. Atheists have their own churches.
No. Again, not all buildings where people come together who have something in common are churches. Political party headquarters, sports clubs, pubs, cinemas, I could go on.
In the past, there was a man by the name of Reverend Jimmy Jones who ran his own temple, and he used to have his people come in. He would encourage them to bring Bibles, and then he would tell his congregation to wipe their ass with the pages of the Bible, throw the book on the ground, and stomp on it while screaming like a fucking grunting ape.
Not heard of him, but okay. Firstly, he called himself Reverend. Do you claim he was an atheist? Not sure. Not all atheists are nice people. I think I am nice people, and I don't like people mistreating books. Although on occasion I grunt like an ape. So I'm an atheist now or not?
Do I know what an atheist is? Well, I was one of the most popular atheists of YouTube and social media. For the longest time, I debated some of the biggest religious people out there. So I think I got a pretty good idea what the fucking atheism means and what it's about.
No. What you are doing is to strawman people, and to back up your claim you use yourself as an authority. I don't fall into the trap of trying to defend people who share my opinions or lack of beliefs. You can't make me question whether I am or am not an atheist. I was joking before. What I don't do, and what I can't make myself do, is to believe in a god or gods. Either you are convinced that God is there, or you are not. I am not. But hey, you can try to convince me. Just don't no true atheist me.
I also know that atheism leads to nihilism.
Whoa, nihilism, really? How very 18th century of you. And pray, why would you think that? And why does believing in a god or gods not lead to nihilism?
Which means that you do not see any objective purpose or meaning in your life. You can imagine up shit, sure. You can say, well, music's the purpose of my life. My girlfriend's the purpose of my life. The way the fucking birds chirp in the tree, that's my purpose in life and shit. But that's just a subjective opinion.
But then, what is not? Go on.
Objective is whenever something is true, whether you believe it to be so or not.
Well, if that's true, then how do you know that something is true when you don't believe it is? Do you need other people telling you then? How do you know they aren't lying?
And a lot of the questions that I put forth, that Skydive Man, or whatever the fuck his name is, claims to have answered, he didn't. I have watched all the greatest scientists out there, from atheist to religious. Had the atheist actually taken the time to watch the rest of my series, because part 1 wasn't the end of what I was doing, I was just getting started, they would have seen that I actually use footage from atheists, scientists, as well as religious, showing that the atheist in social media, the layman, the average atheist, the fucking streetwalkers, the mouth breathers, have absolutely no idea what they're talking about.
Okay, but here's where you commit the category error. Atheism is not connected to science, unless you think that God's existence is predicated on not knowing stuff. Logic does this argument well, and I'm not going to copy him here, or Matt Dillahunty, or Dawkins. I'm an atheist because I lack a belief in God. I'm also a scientist, and I know some stuff, but that isn't connected to my lack of belief in a deity. If it was, does that mean I couldn't be an atheist because anybody who doesn't have scientific knowledge automatically believes in God? Well, as a 10-year-old, when I was an altar boy in my local Catholic church, I knew nothing of science, and I was still an atheist because I didn't believe in God then either.
Most of the things that Sci-Fi Man did and answered was not scientific whatsoever. I can watch any fucking video out there where people ask questions and just make shit up off the top of my head, which is exactly what he did. Notice when watching his video, he doesn't provide any kind of scientific references, any kind of information, doesn't go on to analyze and show how it is that his statements are fact or true.
I don't know whether you mean Simandan or me here. I presume you mean Simandan. This was specifically my beef with this video. If I don't believe that aliens walk among us, or that there are pink elephants, then it is not on me to show that there aren't aliens or no pink elephants. It is on you to show me. I can tell you if I think the evidence which has convinced you is convincing to me. And there you come into difficulty with objective or absolute truth. There is no such thing. As soon as it enters a brain, it is changed by that brain. And if it is changed by that brain, it is no longer absolute, but measured by the physical and biological processes occurring in the brain, and maybe even some quantum stuff, who knows? My evidence? Name me a topic where among 1 billion people you would have exact agreement.
Any fucking dum-dum on the planet can do that.
You got me there.
And in fact, it happens all the time. Now I know that after the atheist gets up there and makes a fool of himself and puts out all his bullshit, An atheist could just simply get on video for 15 minutes and make grunting fucking noises like a fucking zoo animal, and the sheep who are watching and listening will go, "Oh yeah, you're so smart because you wear the same label as me." No matter what a religious person says, I'm going to go ahead and fucking call the religious person stupid, and we're all going to entitle ourselves as triumphant.
That I actually partially agree with. It's the bit where you have to have good reason to hold an opinion. If you don't, then you should examine that opinion. It's not bad to say, "I don't know," when in fact you don't know. I don't know that God exists, and I've seen no evidence that I think passes the standards I have for believing something. The other thing is that religious people, though, do this all the time. They listen to a priest or a church leader and are comforted by the words that they hear. Have they good reasons? Probably not, but it is a human instinct to seek out people with similar values to you. Everybody does it. However, that is not why I don't believe in God. I still enjoy going into churches, though.
And a lot of atheists, they fall for that illusion. They look at the comments on their fucking videos, and they see all this, "Wow, you're so smart, you're so great, you're so intelligent." And most of the time, the people who are saying this are dope heads, fucking hippies, anarchists, and socialists, people who are absolute idiots. Admittedly, most of them never even been through high school and have never smelt the paint on the inside of a college.
Okay, doing this backwards. I have education, and I can tell you it hasn't done anything for my atheism. Not sure why socialists are idiots. We tend to believe in healthcare, education, equal access to opportunity, and paying our elders a pension as a thank you for their hard work. Yep, state pension is a socialist idea, as is unemployment benefit, and where applicable, universal access to medical treatment. I will give you that conservative US Americans tend to think of socialists as some sort of unruly mob. Have a look at almost properly socialist countries, Sweden, Norway, Finland, and see how happy people say they are with their social security net, education, pension, and healthcare.
At all. But I mean, if it gets you excited and it makes you feel good about yourself or relevant because a couple 15-year-olds who are fucking lucky enough to even be able to have their license at this point to be able to drive are telling you that you're an intellect or a philosopher, I mean, if it takes that little to make you feel smart and intelligent, then so be it.
Okay, so this is where we have started to rumble then. What follows is Brett's invitation to his live stream, which takes place at 7 p.m. Central Time, which unfortunately is 1 a.m. in the morning for me and Simon Dan. I know that I'm not really the target here. Simon Dan has literally millions of subscribers, me among them, so I suspect Brett would like all those views. None to be had from me, and I'm good with that. I used to teach teenagers. I'm used to shouting into the void. Also, he throws some insults around at a half-hearted attempt at some reverse psychology, I'm guessing.
Now, I challenged Mr. Sky Dan, and I have a video on my channel scheduled where the live stream is going to post through. Now, Sky Dan, before he even said a word, I'd already let all my friends know, as well as posted on several different websites, as well as even mentioned in the video, that $10 says he's going to run away. And a bunch of my friends said, "I don't know, this guy's not a pussy like most of the atheists out there. This guy seems like he's a little bit smarter than what you're used to dealing with, Mr. Keane." And I said, "No, this guy's a fucking worm. This guy's a fucking worm. He doesn't have a spine in him. He's just a fucking babbling idiot who's just reciting and regurgitating the usual fucking nonsense that you would expect from any other teeny bopper atheist
Who's given themselves the label of great thinker or philosopher or intellect." Have you noticed that?
Not really, but I'm sure there are some. However, again, I am an atheist, and I am open to be convinced of God's existence or ghosts or any other supernatural thing. But I haven't heard anything approaching evidence out of you yet, Brett.
Have you guys noticed that when dealing with atheists? They claim that they're rational, that they're logical, that they're superior in their way of thinking over you. If you look in the phone book, or even look on the internet, you're going to notice something very quickly. There is no building or organization or some kind of company out there that hands out fucking awards to atheists who claim that they're intelligent.
Because atheism is not a guarantee that you are thinking well. You can be an atheist who knee-jerks their way through a bunch of god-awful arguments, pun intended. Equally, I can be a great thinker and a theist, as long as my God belief isn't detrimental to my work or thinking. Copernicus was affected by that. His model replaced Ptolemy's, but he was still hemmed in by the assumptions that 1. God exists, 2. God created the universe, 3. God is perfect, leading him to the conclusion that planetary orbits should be perfectly circular. This was shown to be wrong by, let's say, Newton. And Newton was a devout God believer who wrote a lot on God. It didn't do his physics much harm, whereas Copernicus scuppered his own ideas. Anybody's claim to intellectual brilliance is unimportant. Scientists accept that their ideas may be superseded, updated, changed, or even replaced by new ones, such as Darwin's, for example. And it is constantly surprising to me that people still refer to Darwinian evolution as if we haven't discovered DNA. Some people even call it Darwinism. So should I call Newton's theory of gravity Newtonianism? Also, they confuse it with social Darwinism and use the term evolution wrong all the time. And still, none of that has anything to do with why I don't believe in God or a God.
There is no place out there where if you get enough YouTubers together to claim that you're smart, where they hand you a fucking, identification or some kind of special card or something.
What? Well, no point making videos then.
So when these atheists claim to be a great thinker, or claim to be some fantastic intellect, it is not because some kind of science organization or some kind of graduation ceremony has said so or given them that title. What it means is they record a video and they are so fucking deluded and narcissistic with antisocial behavior, they have given themselves this bullshit title that anybody in real life who knows them knows that they are fucking dumb.
Perhaps. I don't really care whether people think I'm clever. It really doesn't matter. What matters are your words, in sequence, expressing ideas. And so far I'm not sure I've heard any that would convince me that there is a God. And I'm genuinely interested why people think there is, and why they are bothered, if they are, why I don't believe in a God. And antisocial behavior, care to explain?
But on the internet you can live a fantasy. You can use CGI. I mean, look at Aaron Raw. He looks like something you'd see right out of the fucking Addams Family TV show.
Yeah, Aaron Ra is pretty awesome. I agree.
But because he does CGI and he puts fancy shit on the screen and then reads off of a teleprompter, which is most likely plagiarizing different paragraphs of Wikipedia, people go, oh, he's so smart.
We call that scholarship. And as long as you give your sources, it is fine. It is also the reason why I don't personally have to be smart. I use other people's words when they are better, which they often are, but I don't think that many people use Wikipedia. I did to make a point before any smart Alex point that out, for the definition of atheism, which I already knew but nevertheless still checked against other sources. Yep, I am that sad. The next bit is a plug for a show and the rules.
I'm going to say again, ladies and gentlemen, at Friday, 7 p.m. Central my time, I'm from St. Louis. I'm going to put a public link out there. And any atheist that decides to come in the room, and this is so sad because I've done this over 1,000 fucking times now, and there are still dumbasses that come in, and they won't get on camera, and then they wonder why they won't get broadcasted. Even if the video itself says you must have camera and mic, in big bold fucking letters, the atheist seems to suffer from some kind of autism or attention deficit disorder, where they can't figure out that we will not broadcast people unless they can see their fucking face and hear them. Now, if you do come into the room, and you do notice that there are some people who are not on camera, it is because they've been on camera in the past, they have earned their trust and their ability to be able to do as they want to on the screen. You may notice that a couple of my pals may not be running their camera at the time, and that is because they have earned their right and they are known, and we realize they're not going to act like a fucking orangutan on the screen.
So, there's that. Now, I'm more than willing to answer the questions of atheists. In fact, I've already got over 100 fucking videos on my YouTube channel where I have responded and answered every single typical cliche fucking question that atheists robotically spew out nonstop.
Well, no, I have no questions for you other than, what is the evidence for your God belief? And you may have answered that, granted. But science is irrelevant, as I said. Why would I talk science with you? Science has very little to do with God, other than when people who believe in God try to influence the processes that make good science, by making a bunch of assumptions which hold no water, and I am specifically talking about flood water.
So before asking me the questions, I would encourage you to actually look through my content, and then we can go from there. I hope that many of you understand. I know that a lot of you have the IQ of a fucking 5-year-old and the intellect of that of a fucking gnat or even that of a banana. And I'm not talking about the one that the amazing atheist shoved in his ass, ladies and gentlemen. I know that you think by getting on video and calling me a fucking name or telling me that I'm stupid or that I don't know science and all this shit somehow deludes you into believing you're interesting, relevant, or intelligent. But the fact is that you are going to be shocked and in awe when you come into my room and I'm actually discussing science with you and you realize, oh no, this isn't the type of room I can come in and just fucking spout off Santa Claus and Easter Bunny, Lord of the Rings, and Sky Daddy bullshit that I learned from Christopher Hitchens, that fucking idiot that died a while back who used to spew out all kinds of nonsense while getting fucking drunk.
That's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'm not impressed with copycat atheists. Come up with your own original, unique shit. And I know some people are going to be like, Brett, how can you say that about Christopher Hitchens? Oh, he died. He was such a great man. What was great about him? Who says he was great? Just because you have a subjective opinion that says, in your mind, that somebody's important, don't mean dick to me.
And here I agree with Brett again. However, neither should you dismiss somebody's statement when they are properly using an established argument, even if it is borrowed. Debunk it then. For example, as a scientist, I use data and insights by other scientists. I will have learned the basics, of course, but that doesn't stop my proper use of their ideas to make my own little addition to the total sum of knowledge. That works in philosophy as well. I was quite taken by Pascal's wager when I first learned about it. I asked questions: how do I make myself believe in God? And would God know? Until somebody said, dedicating an amount of your time every day or week to worship a being that might or might not be there is a waste of your lifetime. I then went from there and dismissed Pascal's wager as not applicable to me. The rest of the video is a declaration that Brett is not a pushover and he issues a challenge: defeat me in a debate. Here's my problem with that. I'm not interested in that. When I ask a question, I tend to listen and not react, because I actually want to know. What I want is new insights, new knowledge, and I don't think I'm going to get that here. Well, this has been fun, sort of. See you later.